the Tea Party element of the Republican Party held the country hostage and ultimately led to a downgrade of our nation's debt for the first time in our history by S&P. Sorry. It's just cut, unless, and not consider any form of taxation. It's just impossible. You know, I balanced 8 budgets as chair of the City Council Finance Committee. We did some cuts. When we had tough fiscal times, we raised some taxes. But you can't just cut your way out of a multi-trillion-dollar deficit. It just is impossible.
Like your own tax.
We have to have fair taxation once again, and we have to preserve our social agenda. We have to preserve Medicare and Social Security, and those programs that Americans. Where have I bucked my party? Where have I gone against my party? Well, I'm a Democrat, and I've spoken out publicly against the president of my party when I thought he was wrong. Most recently, on his statement on Israel going back to the pre-67 borders as a starting point for negotiation. I thought that was wrong. I've Israel. I've actually led missions to cities pre-67 borders and major communities in Israel. I thought that was a wrong starting point. I thought the settlement issue was not a real issue as well to hold up peace negotiations. Settlements, for the most part, are communities, especially when you're dealing with expanding communities in the capital city. In the city council, I stood up to my speaker on a number of issues, most notably congestion pricing and changing term limits without a public referendum, because I thought the voters had voted twice by public referendum for 8 years in the city council. And the mayor to change that arbitrarily against the wishes of the voters, and I stood up to my Democratic speaker, and I also stood up to a number of Democratic Party leaders on that issue.
I don't owe no one anything. I'm not a party loyalist, and they don't have anything that I want or need. I want to represent the people of the 9th Congressional District, and I want to restore prosperity to this country. Yes. And sponsor programs that do just that, period.
I have said, though, regarding the community center, that they have an absolute right to build on that site, but if they could work out an accommodation with the 9/11 families and find an alternative site, that would be preferable.
What happened there is not to be commemorated with a victory mosque. That is a put there deliberately as a provocation. If they are talking about insensitivity, there are plenty of places that mosque could be moved to. That site was deliberately put there for propaganda reasons alone. If there was any sensitivity, it would move. Was anything other?
Insensitive. Caliphate.
Was anything other than what they suggested, it would be named something other than the Cordoba Mosque. Many of you may know what that means. Now they're trying to back off this now and claiming that it is a gesture of ecumenical goodwill. Nonsense. Nonsense.
40% of the 9th Congressional District consists of individuals that were born in other countries than the United States. I think we have to have a more friendly national immigration policy. I would try to make an easier path to citizenship. Every year, more than once usually, I participate in naturalization ceremonies where people born in other countries swear their allegiance to the United States of America, new immigrants who are so proud to take that oath of office. I have to tell you, each and every ceremony I go to, I have tears in my eyes.
We are a nation of immigrants, and we have a procedure and policies in place on how to become citizens. I think the problem that should be recognized is illegal immigration. The part of illegal is not understood. We currently have 9.2% unemployment and a huge underemployment problem. I think this is something that needs to be addressed. We cannot have people coming into this country illegally taking jobs when we have this problem. Simple as that.
My opponent adopted a child 19 or 20 years ago with circumstances of an ill mother dying. That's very commendable, but that has nothing to do with this race. What we should be talking about is the issues that concern the voters of the 9th Congressional District, like preserving Social Security, like preserving Medicare.
Your opponent and just say what you admire about him, but also what scares you about him.
I admire my opponent being a good father, but I'm very scared of his Tea Party philosophy and his... consider any taxes.
Stop the spending! We can't keep spending!
Scared of those extreme views, even by some of his supporters in the audience.
I too admire Mr. Weprin and his family. I had occasion to meet his mother last week. Tried to get her to vote for me, she wouldn't. On the other hand, Mr. Weprin is tainted by a long career in politics. He's tainted with all the things that happen, that seem to happen in this system. Whether on his watch it was the slush fund, whether it was accepting contributions from charities that charities you're supposed to pay. They don't pay the politician who then turns around and gives them hundreds of thousands in grants. This is something wrong with the system. And he's part of the system. And that's why he has to go.
We actually found a point of agreement there. I also would be very concerned about the expansion and how it would affect the environment, how it would affect potential erosion, and how it would affect Gateway National Park.
Yeah.
When Congress comes back to work after Labor Day, they're going to, a subgroup of Congress is going to have to come up with more than $1 trillion worth of cuts. If you were on what's called the super committee, what would be 3 local programs that you know of that you would throw into the dustbin that you think could be cut?
First of all, it's $1.5 trillion that the committee is not $1 trillion. $500 billion, that's a lot of money. You can't cut, and maintain the quality of life as we know it now.
Just
We got a job from a poor person.
we'll terminate this discussion now, unless we get quiet and respect from everybody. Everybody's got their own point of view. Obviously, there's two different sides here, but let's show the respect that this community gives, okay?
Mr. Turner and Mr. Weprin, growth. Everyone's talking about growth. We need to grow industries. We need to grow jobs. What jobs in what industries are going to be the ones that are going to lead our country out of its economic trouble? And how are you going to help create them?
We have a serious problem right now, and there are some immediate solutions that can be done. First and foremost, our energy. We have 2 stalled pipelines coming out of Canada for sand oil. They're not going anywhere because of diplomatic problems, EPA problems, labor problems. Tens of thousands of people could be employed. I'd say to the President, let's move that. We have energy in New York State, hydrofracking. Do what they're doing in Pennsylvania. Yes. 10,000 people working in Pennsylvania.
Ladies and gentlemen.
We have oil that can be drilled offshore. We can drill in Alaska. We can drill in the West. We can be energy self-sufficient. We can reduce the prices of food. All of this will spur the economy. I mentioned before the trillions that are offshore and on our balance sheets that can be done with quick tax abatements right now to get that money freed up and put to work. Those are things that will work and work right now. They're practical business solutions. We can get it moving.
We need a national jobs bill, and we need a national jobs bill now. At the city and state level, after we had the tragedy in Minnesota with the bridge collapsing, I recommended a city and state commission to study our infrastructure in the state of New York. It was enacted, we studied it. There are a number of our roads and bridges that are in severe need of disrepair, and in some cases, the case of the Tappan Zee Bridge needs a total overhaul. We should create a national infrastructure commission, put people to work, and create jobs at the same time. I supported extending unemployment benefits from the original time because of the economy, because of the high unemployment, because people were suffering. The middle class is getting squeezed. People are in dire circumstances. So I supported extending unemployment insurance.
When is enough enough?
Exactly.
First of all, let me say that the federal health plan that has not kicked in yet till 2013 is not perfect. It's not perfect. However, everywhere I go, people tell me that they have children and grandchildren that are graduating with college degrees and master's degrees, and they cannot find jobs. How many people in the audience have experienced that? Under this plan, for the very first time, your children under the age of 26, up to the age of 26, will be covered under a parent's health care. Insurance companies will be prohibited from denying coverage, which they did routinely, for pre-existing conditions. And we will go
Turner, you said you would cut 35%.
No, he spoke a lot tonight.
You said you're going to cut everything. How did you feel when he said that?
I think we've heard a little more political rhetoric.
Watch your step here,
I sat next to a Weprin supporter who applauded Mr. Turner's healthcare proposal. And the people here were very open-minded. Some are very outspoken. That makes things lively. That makes things lively.
You saw the last hour and a half. Who do you feel won tonight's debate?
I really do like my man Turner. I was impressed when I saw people with Weprin buttons uploading his healthcare positions.
Sitting in the room for the last hour and a half, who do you feel won tonight's debate?
Without a doubt, David Weprin.
Okay, why?
Mr. Turner didn't know about government. He thinks that we can do away with the Department of Agriculture, which, provides for the safety of our food. He wants to do away with the EPA and
Did he say do away, or did he say he wants to cut it 35%?
Well, he said we don't need the Department of Agriculture. He said we don't need the Department of Education because the state's education students, not the federal government.
Now, is there anything? Did you like anything that Bob Turner did say where Weprin you didn't, or vice versa?
Not at the moment. I'm too...
Now, on the healthcare plan, do you like President Obama's healthcare plan?
To a great measure, yes, but I think it needs to have some changes.
And where would you like to see it tweaked?
It's too deep to go into right now.
Okay. Now, do you feel both of them have the ability to change it for the better?
Both of them? No, I think Mr. Weprin is by far the preferred candidate because he knows our communities. He's already done this job of government, and he understands the job of government. He also showed that he knew